Okay. Hi, I'm Pat Sorn. This is Dirk Hart. We're married. If you heard us mumbling and disagreeing, you know, yeah. Anyway, so we like to travel in the cold months of New England. And this year we're talking about our trip in 2020, January to March, about 2 months, in Malaysia, Thailand, and Laos. And so I have this, you can take a look at it later, but Malaysia is down here with the yellow dots. And it's actually, there's a west and, west and an east Malaysia. So we were on the west in Kuala Lumpur. This whole big purple part is Thailand. And then we were in a little bit of Laos up in this area. So that's the trip we'll be talking about today. And so we'll do a bit of an introduction. I will get the slides reordered while Dirk kind of gets us started on what we're doing and why we do it and how we do it and that kind of stuff. Nice.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. As usual, I get these big ideas, and having Marion, and having been to Indonesia the year before, I said to Pat, we should go to Thailand, and somehow she went along with it. So
I can't see, sorry.
So I got busy looking for cheap flights, and the cheap flight in 2020 took us to Kuala Lumpur, $526 return, which is a real bargain. So Kuala Lumpur is at the end of Malaysia there. The nice thing about Malaysia is that mostly they speak English and
That's it's supposed to work.
and Malay, which is closely related to the language spoken in Indonesia. So I was able to recycle some of my Bahasa Indonesia. Of course, it's a little bit different, but it doesn't matter. So the reason we went to Thailand is because it's warm in the winter and it doesn't snow, so you don't have to shovel anything. It's a well-known tourist destination. A lot of people go there, and they don't complain about it too much. So there's Kuala Lumpur way over on the left there. That's where we landed, and it is the home of the world famous. Well, there's a shot of Kuala Lumpur. It's quite a big city, spread out, a little bit foggy, smoggy in Kuala Lumpur, as Asian cities tend to be. There is the world famous Petronas Towers right there. The center part of Kuala Lumpur is very walkable. We took the hop-on, hop-off bus, and after we went around a couple of times, we found that, in fact, we could have walked the whole thing. So this is a typical street scene. There's a lot of motorbikes in Kuala Lumpur. Everywhere in Southeast Asia, there's a lot of motorbikes. And we went from our hotel to the food street. And everywhere on this street, left and right, there are tables and tables and tables of places where you can sit, and all different restaurants, and it's really noisy and really crowded, and
Smoky.
And smoky because everybody smokes, and they grill on hibachis or these small barbecues, and so I had to leave. It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. So this is a typical park, I guess.
Botanical park, maybe, and then with a bird sanctuary.
Yeah. And there's a peacock trying to attract a peahen, a mate. I've forgotten the name of this bird. It's blue. This is a mosque in Kuala Lumpur. It's rather a large structure. Getting ready for Chinese New Year because lots of the population there is cultural Chinese. And the New Year was coming up in February, I think that year, was that? So they have lots of stuff on display there. The Petronas Towers. So the thing to do is to save your $18 a person and don't go up to Petronas Towers. You go to the bar next door there. Where's your little red pointer thing? Oh, man.
But the other little white one's working.
Okay, so that building there's a rooftop bar, and you get an excellent view of the Petronas Towers, and it costs you the price of a beer. And
Which is expensive, I assume.
But you get the beer.
and at sunsets, it's particularly lovely at the top there.
That was. Okay.
So from Kuala Lumpur, having no other plan, we went up the west coast of Malaysia to Penang, which was for a while British territory.
And this is where we stayed. In this
And how did you travel around?
by bus.
We went by bus up there. After that, the story changes a little bit, but we'll get to that. So we walked from the place where we stayed to this bar. It was right on the seaside. You can see a corner of the beach there, but it was really quite lovely. Quite a nice place to sit and watch the water and have a beer. A piece of random jungle. I don't know why it's there. Never mind. We decided we ought to go for a walk in this national forest here, and and the fellow at the entrance was disbelieving when we said we could do it in an hour, and it goes up and down, and it's really hot.
We didn't know about the up and down.
And he was right to call us out on it, but never mind. We had another couple join us. These people were from Iran, which was really interesting. He was a software engineer, and she taught computer applications. I said, well, which applications do you use? Microsoft Office.
Sure.
Well, of course. Near this bridge, well, this is interesting. We were just walking along, but near this bridge, I looked down, and there was a 5-foot monitor lizard. And it was just black with round yellow spots on it. It was just magnificent, actually.
You look at him?
I looked at him, and he looked back at me too. Well, he didn't say anything because I didn't speak his language. But
More woods and forests.
but I was safely on the bridge, many feet above him, so that was good. So after walking up and down quite a bit, you get to this sandy beach, and a boat comes to pick you up for a price and brings you back to the beginning of the national park.
That was on the way.
Yeah. So Penang is the home to Georgetown. It's named Georgetown because of the British influence in the area. Here's a typical temple, a temple which is typical for Malaysia. The place where we stayed, is that right?
No. This is the Blue Hotel, and also where Crazy Rich Asians was filmed a little bit. So these are people going, oh wow, those Crazy Rich Asians was filmed here. But I think the what do you call it?
Card playing scene?
The
Mahjong.
Mahjong scene was filmed here. Curious.
Yeah.
So Georgetown is this huge city. But this is
Yeah. So masjid is the word they use for to mean a mosque.
and then here's
And more tall buildings in Georgetown.
What's the principal religion of Malaysia? Is there such a one dominant over the other, like Muslim?
In Malaysia, they're predominantly Muslim. Yeah, it's interesting. Throughout Southeast Asia, we found that if the village or town is near the water, they're most likely Muslim. Elsewhere, they could be Buddhist.
right. So Malaysia doesn't dictate the religion, but it is large.
Yeah.
Except in certain states.
Oh, in Indonesia, in certain states, they dictate the
In
religion.
certain states in Malaysia.
And Malaysia is one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Muslim states.
Oh, certainly in the west, eastern.
Eastern, yes. Yeah.
What's interesting is in Indonesia, you can't have a religion unless there's a supreme being at the top. So nowhere is Buddhism a religion, except in Indonesia, where Buddha is a god, because by law you have to have a supreme being. But that's a sidebar. Langkawi. Langkawi is a sort of a resort island. They had a pretty big marina. We stayed at the yacht club because the rates were cheap, and that's because the walls are paper thin. It was quite nice, though. I enjoyed Langkawi. It's a little bit farther north than Georgetown. It's the last stop if you're headed towards Thailand, as we were. They have a gondola ride, which will take you up a small mountain. There's the gondola there. And they have a platform for walking around on, some hiking trails at the top. You can see on the right there the platform for walking on, the skywalk.
It's glass. There's a lot of people like it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, certainly.
We like that. Was it fun?
It was interesting to see, and it was interesting to be amongst all the people, the other vacationers there, and there was a lot of hiking up and down on these trails. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was really touristy. It wasn't like.
Why you look down?
Well, even so, it was interesting. More interesting for me than maybe for some of the others. But it was a touristy thing, and I don't know if it was typically Malaysian culture or not, but which is what I would normally go for, is the culture of the area we go to. But this was there, and there isn't that much else to do in Langkawi unless you go to the beach. Yeah, the beach was quite nice. We went on a snorkel trip to some of the smaller islands in the area.
What did you see?
We saw.
We don't have too much time. We can't cover everything, so we should keep moving, but go ahead.
There,
What didn't you see?
there's that's a bigger question. There was interesting islands. There were beaches, a lot of trash on the beaches. Pat and I were the only ones who stopped to pick up trash because I guess people in Southeast Asia are sort of trash blind or something. I don't know. The monkey came down from a tree and stole somebody's lunch. It was quite amusing. And then when it was done with the lunch, it threw the Tupperware back down. So anyways, here we are at one of these little islands, getting off the boats and going for a walk around on the island.
This is the first time we got to Thailand. We walked barefoot.
Yeah.
To
Oh, we've left Malaysia now. Pat's a little bit ahead of me here. So from Langkawi, we took a ferry and went up the.
So here we are down in Langkawi.
We took a ferry that went to Thailand, and we landed on the.
I think it's Koh Lipe there. The green is Highland.
Yeah, we landed on the beach at Koh Lipe, which is, I guess, the southernmost island on the west side of Thailand. Where's the slide that shows us getting out on the beach? Oh, well, that's a nice beach.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah. So we get out on the beach there, and the thing to do is take off your shoes, jump out of the boat, walk up the beach to the immigration tent, where there's a guy with a very official stamp, and he stamps your passport, and then you're in Thailand, just like that. It was a remarkable way to enter a country. It was quite a lot of fun. So there we are. So Koh Lipe has some nice beaches, as you can see. Fishing boats. There you go. What else do we have there?
There's a beautiful little town and a lot of touristy kinds of things. And then we did hiking all around the town, all around the island.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And our first, quote-unquote, temple, because Thailand is full of them, but this was in a unique stone monument temple.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to...
So we took another ferry. There's typical vendors selling fruit and stuff that they get from the island. So we moved up to another island there. We went island hopping. We went to Koh Muk, And we chose this place because it had a nice looking hotel or motel, whatever you call it. And it was quite nice. And we chose it because of the beautiful beach it had. But when we got there,
I'm telling.
the tide was out and the beach really wasn't that great.
No swimming here.
But it's a small island, and if you cross the island, then you get to another beach, and that's quite a lovely beach. And some of the kids there, the parents were selling goods to tourists on the beach, food and drink, and such like that. We went on another snorkeling tour. We decided we had to see the Emerald Caves. So what happens here is there's a cave that you see from the ocean, and then you jump off the boat with your flippers and you swim through this cave, and it's pretty long. It's how long was it, do you think?
It was 100. Is it 100 yards?
No, 100. It has as big, at least as long as our lakefront. 100.
Oh, it was long. I got quite bored with swimming. Anyways, that is the end of the tunnel that you see right there. And there's a nice beach inside and steep walls, and it's just a chimney.
Yeah.
And then
A hole in the top.
and then you look around for a while, and that's nice, and then you have to leave again. And then on your way out, I happened to see something that looked like a piece of rope, and I said, well, what's this piece of rope doing here? And I was just about to reach out and grab it and put it back in the boat when it started swimming away from me.
And
I said, oh my goodness, or words to that effect, it's a snake. And then the people next to me, they took off like it was the Olympics. It was amazing. So anyways, when you're in those waters, you swim with your thumb very close to your fingers like this, because the only place they can bite is right there. And it's not facial anyways. They got small mouths. So where is this beautiful
That's the
beach?
same beach.
Same
From
beach?
afar.
What were you doing swimming that far out? We moved up to Koh Lanta, which is another famous tourist island. And every night along the beach there, there's somebody who is, what is it, fire, they spin fire. They got fire on the end of a baton, and they fling it around their head and entertain the tourists while they're having beers and such. What was interesting to me is that you see the fishing boats at night, and they have lights to help attract the fish. And they have white lights and green lights, and the white lights attract the fish, and the green lights attract the squid.
Yeah.
So you can tell from looking at the boat what they're fishing for. On our way up to the waterfall, we happened to see this elephant there. It's kept as a tourist attraction, basically. There's the waterfall, and
Bunch of blood, but it's still refreshing.
so there's mermaids everywhere, apparently. There was a cave near the waterfall. Is that where it
way
was?
back, and it was really cool.
No.
Stuff you see that you don't even know you're going to find.
Everywhere you can find rare blue lobsters. I've forgotten where it was. We moved on to Krabi, which is actually on the mainland.
So now do I have a picture? I do. Okay, so we were at Koh Lanta, and now we're going into Krabi, which is well known for its the mountain areas nearby, that large karst.
There's rock climbing near Krabi, and just a little bit north, I think, is Railay Beach, which is world famous for the beach and for rock climbing.
So I wanted to mention this is when we started seeing a lot of temples were in the bigger cities, and the introduction to many, many temples along the way. And here we are in Railay Beach.
Yeah. And here I am climbing along the rocks on the beach. You go from one beach to another, and at the second beach, there you find the rock climbing.
Yeah, they teach it. It's really pretty cool. Yeah, well, if you can see it, it's a lot of women who got, in this case, climbing up.
Yeah,
Scary stuff.
it's great for youngsters.
And we're going out somewhere else. Okay, now we're going to the next place. Do you have it?
What's
Ko
Kolanta, Krabi, Karts of Rele, Koyanoi.
So we get there and they said they'll give us a ride, but this truck will take us to where we're staying. But they're also loading all the groceries. We get in and then loading groceries and big boxes. And well, it's totally full.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. That was a nice island. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Oh, who can name this bird? It's got a thing on the top of its head. It's called a...
It was a hornbill.
Hornbill, thank you.
Yeah, it was really hard to get the photo, so that's why I didn't include it.
Now, apparently they have monkeys that'll swim out to you if you offer them a treat.
So this was another tour we went on.
Who would have thought that actual monkeys could swim?
And you too.
Hey.
Okay.
So we got to this one national park, and the boats tie up at the end of this dock.
Oh, there was an earthquake.
So the boat zooms up. Everybody gets out of the boat zooms away to anchor while you go to national park for a couple of hours. But, you know, some people just can't manage that stupid undulating dock.
I get seasick. So what I did, I waited to the end when there was space, and I ran the whole way. It's the only way I could get to the field.
There was another woman who just decided she was going to sit on the end of the dock because there's no way she could have made the trip. I mean, look at this guy.
So that was like one of the more unusual things.
Yeah.
He running.
We stayed at this nice little cottage in the middle of basically nowhere. Right? It was a nice place. Very friendly people. Typical gas station in the area.
A lot of motorcycles.
And there's the woman who runs the cottages where we stayed. She was very nice. Phuket, we left the island hopping idea. We went to Phuket, which is, well, it's not the mainland, but it's a large city near the top of the island chain on the west side there. Well known for nightlife on the beach and diving and thing like that. It's a party destination.
However, we
didn't stay to party. We stayed in Old Town, which I thought was much more interesting. There was a market that day, and the vendors just set up tents and sell their food and wares and such like that. It was very, very interesting, actually. There was this was a traditional Chinese house of a successful merchant, and because we had met somebody who was in urban planning, she knew the owner of this place, and we got a nice little private tour of this building.
And it was still in the 1800s kitchen, and they had tried to. It's more of a museum. Tried to leave it the way it was. Next door was the same house, but had been turned into a restaurant, and you couldn't even tell it was
The brother's house, yes.
Basil.
So on the left is the woman who is trying to convince all the property owners not to modernize not to tear down the old buildings and put in modern buildings. And when she saw that Pat had a ukulele, well, they had to have a bee in here.
She had a guitar.
Yeah, she had her guitar, and Pat had a ukulele, and Mrs. Wu there on the right liked all the Beatles songs because she had gone to college in the Boston area, in Worcester, I think it was.
So we sang and played for about 2 hours.
Yeah, and there's Mrs. Wu's husband in the back there. And I just didn't sing, and everybody was much happier that way. From Phuket, we flew north to Chiang Mai. Because who really wants to take the train that far? The tourists on the beach who we met in Koh Muk said, try this hotel when you get to Chiang Mai. And it was quite a nice hotel. People were very friendly there.
And right next door was this
Interesting temple. So Chiang Mai is a walled city, as I mentioned, and it has a moat around it. And you can take boats.
Well, this is the river too.
Boats around the river that feeds the moat.
Good.
More temples. In Chiang Mai, they have a U.S. consulate, and because the consulate is surrounded by a pretty tall wall, people have come around to paint it.
That's supposed to be Obama.
Can I start it next?
Yeah, Obama and Lincoln below that and whatever. And we stayed an extra day in Chiang Mai because they were going to have a flower festival. And we said, well, if there's going to be a flower festival, we'll stay an extra day. And it was a whole big parade that they had there. And people got dressed up in all sorts of funny costumes.
Anybody know?
Mario and Luigi were there,
Yeah.
and all their brothers and sisters. And at the very end of the parade were the Hare Krishna people, and they danced the whole way, and the fellow had a really nice voice, so I followed him. So this is at the flower festival, is it?
Yeah, they had the huge garden. So there was the parade, and then a garden, and then nighttime flowerings. It was fantastic.
Be careful when you go for haircuts in Chiang Mai.
Anybody knows about Sweeney Dad, Demon Barber,
The demon barber of Chiang Mai.
and then the nighttime, and then the pond.
So from Chiang Mai, we went to Chiang Rai. Chiang Rai is deep in the golden triangle of Asia, from whence all the opiates come, at least in that area, before they moved to Mexico. There's an architect there who built a white temple, and it's rather ornate, and not only to look at here, but on the walkway.
Oh yeah, coming to it.
On the walkway, you can see all the people beseeching those who enter the temple. I guess they're cast down into hell. I don't know what really is going on here, but it's interesting and powerful.
And that was the white temple.
The white temple. There's also a blue temple. No, I don't know the story behind the blue temple,
No, I don't know
except that it's blue.
There was.
And so while we're driving around with our driver, we saw the big Buddha. And we said, Big Buddha? What's that about? So we drove to the big Buddha.
I mean,
And
the people are down here, so you can get some sense of how huge it was.
it was huge. And you go in there and you buy a ticket, and you can take the elevator to the top, which is 23 stories up. And when we got there, back a little bit, we found that we were looking out the third eye at the top there.
Oh God, at the top.
Right at the top, and had a commanding view of the surrounding area, which is that. That is actually in the head of the Buddha, inside the head of the Buddha.
Very.
Yeah.
And then.
So from Chiang Rai, we decided that the thing to do was take a ride on a boat, just like this. This could be the boat, I don't know, down the Mekong River to Luang Prabang in Laos.
Well, here we go. So now where am I? Okay, we're on Chiang Rai, and we took got a ride to the border, and then this doesn't show the river, but
Well, the river is the border at that point.
so basically somehow or other we ended up in
Well, it goes south a little bit and then goes back up and over to Luang Prabang. It's
okay. So
the river doesn't form a straight line.
too much.
So the river was particularly low that year. Well, this doesn't show the people at the side of the river, but the river was particularly low, and the people in Laos were out there gold panning at the edge of the river because it uncovered areas which had not been previously panned. And one of the fellows at the next hotel that we were staying at showed me, and he had a little pile of gold in the palm of his hand. He had a picture of it. He didn't actually show me the gold. But it was quite a lump of gold, actually, for a day's work in the river, and quite a boon for the people who lived there.
It's a hill village.
This is a hill village in Laos. And the people gathered around, listened to the guides in the village.
And yeah, I think there were the Hmong people that were up in the mountains, and they were moving them down to be closer to their version of civilization.
Did you get to Vientiane?
No, we didn't go that far. So a typical view from the side of the river.
And then we went up to a hotel.
So Pat said, should we pay $15 extra for the good hotel? And I said, well, it's $15. Yes, we should. So we went around the corner in the boat, and we looked up and we saw these white buildings at the top of the hill. Said, what's that? And well, it turns out that's the hotel we stayed at. It was like out of Architectural Digest. It was wonderful. Pat said, should I bring my ukulele up there? And I said, yes, you should sing at the side of the pool. So she did. And then the manager of the hotel came by with his guitar, and they had another bee in. He was from the Philippines, as I recall. And so these are all views from the hotel down, looking down the valley. There was elephants every morning. The elephants get watered at the side of the river there, and we could see the elephants from the hotel.
There's another village we stopped.
Yeah. And in this village, the women do a lot of weaving, and they put their wares out for the tourists to see and hopefully buy. We did buy one.
Yeah.
Another fine temple. So
This is we finally arrived. Got on the boat.
and the second day we arrived in Luang Prabang, and after a stop at some caves and such. And from the edge of the road, from the towns, you could look down and see all the boats that people use to get up and down the river.
I think we're eating lunch at this point, or waiting for lunch.
Yeah, we're at a restaurant. So an enterprising individual every year builds a new bridge here, and he charges people some money to go across the bridge.
And why do they build it every year?
Because the river comes along and removes it for them.
In the season of the rains.
Yeah, the downpours.
Do they take it down, or does it just?
No, it's washed away.
It just washes away, yeah. And for the price of the ticket, you can also return on the bridge.
That's
But what happens is, you get to the end of the bridge, you're walking around a little bit, and well, there's another bridge. So there's another guy who has the same idea. But you need to buy another ticket because it's a different guy's bridge.
This is Luang Prabang, so the Dirk resting.
It was a long walk. We the next day we took a trip with some people we met from the boats up towards a waterfall. They had this bear sanctuary, butterfly sanctuary, and waterfalls. And this is the bear sanctuary. And the reason it's a sanctuary because these bears are rescued from farms which use the bears to collect bear bile.
Because it's lucky in China or something.
It's a medicinal, it has medicinal use in Chinese medicine.
In little cages, and they
Well, without getting too much into it, these bears needed rescuing. So after a strenuous climb, we got up to the top of the falls, above the falls, and there's a lovely pool there where you can cool off, and cooling off is sorely needed by that time.
beautiful views up there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Made our way to the butterfly park, and there was indeed butterflies.
Beautiful, and they, lessons were being taught that the people owned or managed it were from Holland.
Yeah, and there's the people from the boat who we went up to the falls with.
People we didn't know. Back to the Mekong,
The Mekong, yeah.
another place we stayed. I'll move forward because we're running out of time.
I think we're doing okay. We got 25 minutes.
Well, we have to leave time for questions. So then we climbed the mountain in the Luangprabang.
It was a hill.
Part. Big hill.
It was a hill and looked down upon where the king's palace or his summer palace or something like that. There was a friend here locally who taught English in the early 70s in Luang Prabang who encouraged us to go there. And I'm pointing at the house, which I think was his. But later on, he said, no, that wasn't it at all. So I'm just pointing at some random house. So at the top of the hill, there's a reclining Buddha, of course.
And other various statues along the way just sort of pop out in the woods. And then, how did we get to Bangkok? We flew?
From Luang Prabang, we flew to Bangkok. What an interesting city Bangkok is. It's one of my favorites in Southeast Asia. Full of temples, of course. There's a picture of the king. It is against Thai law to be critical of the royal family or the king. So if they want to be, so one fellow I asked said, well, the king spends most of his time in Germany. And that's about as critical as you can get without saying bad things about him. There was a story of one American fella who was critical of the king on Facebook, and when he arrived in Bangkok by air, he was arrested. The reclining Buddha in Bangkok is world famous, so we went.
Amazing, huge. I didn't do all the pictures. Those are really interesting toes.
We went with people we randomly met at the hotel in Bangkok. I don't know why I'm surprised, but I am. It's big. There, amulets at the big markets in Bangkok.
Very popular.
Yep.
More diesel, river, more Buddhas.
Yeah. Ayutthaya is the original capital of Thailand, formerly known as Siam in the day.
So we took a tour there.
And what happens is the Burmese always like to come around and create havoc. And that's why I guess Ayutthaya is no longer the capital of Thailand. Also, they should build temples upon firmer ground. Why do you keep going backwards?
Oh, sorry. I was looking to see if I had a picture of the headless Buddhas. So it turns out there's a lot of Buddha bottoms, but people had stolen all the heads and put them elsewhere. So, and this one fell off, I guess, and just a tree grew around it. Okay, I'll stop doing that now.
That's great.
Here they are.
Yeah, headless Buddhas.
That's unsettling.
Well, it happened in Indonesia as well, in one of the more famous temples. The heads are just gone. They're used as, I guess, souvenirs. So we met this English couple in Bangkok, and we visited all the other temples with them, and later went to visit them in France. So you can see that the bottom of this temple is a little bit uneven there. And that's a reminder to build your temples upon solid ground. More king. We stayed at this hotel, which was basically right on the edge of this canal. And this canal was used by these ferry boats to provide transportation for locals.
In Bangkok.
In Bangkok. So they go from the river, basically, and they go roaring down this canal quite quickly, putting up quite a wake. to get to the business district in Bangkok. Is this the Jim Thompson house? Yeah, Jim Thompson was a fellow, and after the Second World War, he stayed in Thailand and started or restarted the silk industry in Thailand, which was quite an economic boom for them. This was a shrine of some sort in the business district in Thailand. If you build a building in Bangkok, you also have to have a shrine or temple to appease the spirits which you displaced by your building the buildings. So every building has a little temple there.
This is from the
Undoubtedly from the top of a hotel which has a rooftop bar. Men have to wear long pants.
back here. This is the way back in the evening, I guess.
Yeah. I went to the Royal Thai Air Museum while Pat wasted her time in Bangkok. It was quite an interesting display, actually. A lot of old planes. What am I doing with such a face? We, of course, went a little bit farther north from
Northwest.
Bangkok on the train to Kanchanaburi, which is the site of the bridge over the River Kwai. And this bridge, which is not the bridge that the POWs built, but it's in the same location, crosses the River Kwai. And if you cross the River Kwai, you'll see a prisoner of war camp there. And there's also a shrine on the opposite side of the bridge next to a temple, which is dedicated to the Chinese prisoners of war, who you never hear about. And we didn't know what to make of this particular shrine because, of course, it's in Chinese writing. But there was a Chinese woman there who spoke pretty good English, and she told us that it's about all the Chinese prisoners of war there. This is a rather excellent museum dedicated to the bridge over the River Kwai, the death railway, as it were. And there is the cemetery for the Allied prisoners of war whose bodies have been recovered, who died in that area while working on the bridge.
And they have kept track of all the people whose names they have, and family can go in and get information.
This is a view from the hotel room where we stayed in Kanchanaburi. It was very nice. Not many people there because people were being scared away by COVID.
COVID had started.
Yeah, the Chinese were not allowed to leave the country, so there was it wasn't over touristed, which I thought was great. On the way back to Bangkok,
On the way,
on the way to Surat Thani, that's another story. We had to change trains at
Nakhon
Nakhon Pathom.
short story.
Well, it was hungry o'clock, so we went wandering around the streets looking for a restaurant, and Pat was looking on her phone, restaurants near me, and we stood in the corner, and there was a fellow who offered to help us.
Woman.
Her cousin offered to help, and it turns out that his cousin was in fact an English teacher, so we ditched our luggage in their house, and she took us across the street to a hot pot restaurant. Endless soup. So we had a great time and were hosted at the restaurant.
3 hours that meant a lot.
Yeah,
There's the street.
yeah. So we went from
Near Bangkok.
near Bangkok all the way down to Surat Thani, which is at the bottom there, not the blue dot, but on the coast. And from Surat Thani, you catch a ferry that goes over to Koh Samui.
We did an overnight train, which is the first time I'd ever done that. Sleeper train.
Yeah, not really that amusing, I thought.
What do you telling?
Well, I'll save some time. Yeah, well. Anyways, Koh Samui was more interesting than the train. We had a room in a small motel, I guess, a vacation place,
Cabin.
and they had a nice beach there. Not very crowded.
We took walks and
Yeah. We went hiking up to that rock there, Cardiac Hill, and I'll tell you, they weren't kidding. It was hot, sweaty, and a steep hill. We crossed this little bridge, and there's the big rock, balanced on top of another rock. I don't know how they arrange for these rocks to be resting on top of one another.
Castle.
Well, Pat's trying to push it off there.
tried to clean up
Yeah,
in another area
yeah.
of the island. It's really a pretty large island.
Yes, it is pretty big.
I paid for the guy I said, can I take your picture? I'm not going to buy anything.
So Pat paid him to sit still for a second. And he had a noisemaker too, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, to attract attention. Yeah. So anyways, you lie out on the beach there and you have somebody who brings your drinks to you and things like that.
So our last island here.
Yeah. So on Koh Tao, this is the place where we stayed. It's like a duplex there. We had one-sided duplex. It was kind of nice. It was tough walking through the sand. Koh Tao is a smaller island, and in fact, you can walk entirely around it in a day, which was a bonus, I thought. So that's what we did.
Then,
There's another rock on top of a high point in the island.
so we have to go to it.
Yeah, that one was really difficult. It was so steep, you walk 5 feet and you have to huff and puff for a while.
Good views.
It was an excellent view.
Then
And we made it back to the hotel room.
little street in the town on a hill.
Yeah. Of course, we went snorkeling.
Was scoring it. It was. I don't have a picture of the mountain behind us, but we climbed up a mountain too. Then got the picture. There was like a line of people taking pictures. Okay.
And back to Kuala Lumpur.
So we took a bus back to Krabi, and then plane back to Kuala Lumpur. It was our plane.
Our time was up.
Yep. So then, but we weren't done.
We went to the Batu Caves because we hadn't seen that. It's our first go around in Kuala Lumpur, and they're rather famous. So, and it's one of the few sites in Kuala Lumpur. So,
Oh yeah, I put down how many steps. Do you have the steps?
well, it's
Like 200 or something.
it's a lot of steps going up here, and you get to the caves. There's monkeys left and right. You take off your hat and you put it in your backpack, and you take off your glasses and anything that's loose, you take it off and you put it in your backpack because the monkeys are very aggressive.
True.
And this is inside the caves, is it?
Yeah, this is inside the cave. It's huge. I mean, there's huge buildings in the caves.
And temples inside the caves, yeah.
It's incredible.
There's a happy family.
I think we saw one little girl had some food. Like she was crying because the monkey had stolen it. There. So here's from before we're leaving. You can see the beautiful steps. Then we
And there's a factory there that makes everything out of pewter. So we had a tour of the factory too, but
And
we
I
couldn't avoid it.
I got talked into buying the computer. It's the flower.
I don't know.
The state.
Orchid.
Orchid.
There you go.
Oh, it's that.
Orchid.
Okay. And that's our slideshow. But there's more we can talk about that I wanted to mention,
Go ahead.
which was some people wonder, like, how do we travel and what do we take and all that kind of stuff. So we generally travel light. We each have a suitcase, and then I usually have a backpack for the travel stuff. with my little ukulele in it. And so we book where we're going to go. And then we have the first 3 or 4 nights at a motel. And then from there on in, we use booking.com or hotel.com or whatever when we're ready to go to our next destination. And usually we do that the night before we go or the day before we go, which is, we've been pretty lucky always. There's always some place to go. We don't use house rentals because we need to have something in town. We don't rent cars. So we need to have something that's pretty local, guaranteed. And what else do I want to say? So what do we bring with us? Usually some kind of a guide. We make Lonely Plan a lot. This is the kind of a guide that we had. We actually didn't have one from the Malaysia and Laos, but we knew we weren't going to go that many places there. So, but these are great guides to help you find where to stay, when to eat, that kind of thing, for at least kind of the neighborhoods to be in. So we bring a water bottle with a filter. This can't go without those in Southeast Asia. Definitely the water isn't guaranteed. If you have the ones with a filter and the straw, you can sip some water, spit on your toothbrushes. You'll be safe without. Dirk, in Indonesia, you forgot about that one night. Oops.
Yeah.
And what else? How would we travel? Oh, he comes up with a grand idea and talks me into it. I work on packing for about a week. He packs in about a day.
Yeah, the day before though, so it's okay.
The other thing important that's worked out for us is we listen to the other travelers. We talk to people. We talk to people, some of the people working there and get suggestions. And that's led to some of the best places we've been, just from somebody else's recommendation. We met in Koh we met that couple from England and chatted with them for a while, and they ended up giving us 2 good suggestions for places to stay we ended up using. That worked out great. We actually got some bargains from booking.com, which allowed us to spend the extra money to stay in the
Wu Gallery, which was in fact not a gallery but a hotel.
Well, it had a little museum with it. Yeah. Anyway, and then food. We're not fancy foodies, so we enjoyed local spots and eat the local food. I don't eat meat, and I haven't had a problem with that. And usually there's vegetarian kinds of things, and I love Thai food. And you can get Thai food anywhere in Southeast Asia. So we basically did local spots and simple meals and that kind of thing. The other question that people have is, what do we do about money? So usually as soon as we get to a country, we'll find an ATM machine and just get the local money that way. And so far, I guess there was one, maybe it was just Indonesia where we had trouble with the ATM machines, but ever since then, it hasn't been a problem. We also get a SIM card for one of our phones so we can use the GPS. I don't get good GPS walking directions without a SIM card. And we never get a car, and we haven't until this year. So you need a GPR for walking places and reservations when you don't have a Wi-Fi nearby. And visas, we didn't have a problem with that. Transportation in towns, usually the taxi or local buses, and even if it's a long distance, we'll take buses and trains. So we can.
How long was your trip? How long was your trip?
How was it?
I think it was 9 weeks.
Yeah, 9 weeks. So we we started in early January, maybe the 10th.
Early January, and
January 4th to March 8th.
Yeah, and when we left Thailand, COVID was beginning in earnest, and 10 days later they locked down the country and nobody was going in or coming out.
So we got lucky.
Yeah.
Other questions?
I was lucky enough to. Well, first of all, I want to say your pictures are beautiful. They're just really, really nice.
I'm glad you like them.
Gorgeous shots. I'm in a good one to get to Bangkok, and I loved it. The shrines, they take place in the Buddhas. Did you ever ride a tuk-tuk?
Oh,
I had just gotten there. I got to my hotel, and I went out for some, sightseeing. And I came back, but I took a tuk-tuk. But the driver, the bicycle guy, kept taking me to different jewelry stores. He wanted me to
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I started to complain. And then he said, okay, get out. Me off and then make like some street in Thailand. And of course, all the signs are in Thai. If there's like, unlike Europe, you could sort of figure out where you are. I was like absolutely lost. And I'm looking at my maps, trying to figure out. And a very nice person came along and he said, can I help? And my hotel wasn't that far. But for a while there, it was like, whoa, kind of scary. And this time I really felt like I couldn't handle when it was. But I loved it. We went to the King's Summer Palace. Did you get up there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then just several times,
I'm sorry?
Malaysia.
No, I don't think we can move the map up a
oh, you want to see the rest of Malaysia?
Yeah. So they're down Singapore.
Oh, yes, it is Singapore. It's
Malaysia. Like, it's Singapore before it was Malaysia. Now it's Singapore. Right, that's right. I go there. Yeah, it's Singapore. It's a part of Malaysia. Then they divided.
Yeah.
It used to be part of Malaysia.
Yeah.
They made it. So I know they're on. I live there 1 month.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were there one night.
Yeah, we were there one night.
I would like that. It's very warm.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah, it is lovely.
We have another question. Yeah.
Oh, language. Instead of in Malaysia, people speak English, but if Thailand and Laos.
In the tourist area, everybody speaks English, adequate amounts of English. And once you get away from the tourist area, then you might be in trouble. Yeah.
We always learn how to say hello and goodbye and thank you. And so that warms people up a lot, of course. And it's interesting. Oh, it's interesting because in Thailand, you say those words, there's a different way you say them to women versus men. That's got that different ending. Yeah. Do you remember? I don't know, wait for him.
Jonathan.
I'm curious, how big were your suitcases? Yes, around the carry-on.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's the other thing.
put them in the overhead. Yeah.
So in Southeast Asia, you need a laundry. You can just say laundry near me, and they'll walk about 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 3. But then they'll get a big bag, and it's $18 or $10 or something like that.
Oh, it's far less, I thought.
Yeah.
It was cheap. Yes.
So we don't pack many clothes. There's enough so you have something in case it gets cool.
Yep.
Good question.
There's down part of Singapore, they speak Chinese. Singapore say, we are not Chinese, they're Singaporean, but they speak in Chinese.
Yeah.
In restaurant and everywhere,
I know, can't speak in English. That's another thing we learned in Phuket, was there, and also in the airport, that there is a Chinese-Thai, a lot of people are Chinese-Thai mix, and I can't remember the name of the, what that race, I guess, is called. But there's a whole history of that and special architecture and stories about the people that are there. And started with people from China coming into Thailand.
It was something like Baba Yaya, wasn't it?
That's right.
Wait, very main part of people in Malaysia and what's in Malaysia, what the nationality in Malaysia, main part of people. I not all of Malaysia was, I part of Malaysia only was. What kind of nationality there?
It's Malay is all I know, Malay and China.
Yeah.
So I'm not really good on the history of them. I did do a little bit of looking up about sort of recent World War I, World War II history and sort of the back thing about the different countries, but I don't have that much.
Main of people, this side near Singapore, they speak in China.
Mhm.
You don't speak in
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Anything else?
how did you like the food?
I love the food. I think we didn't have any problems. Do you have any problems?
Very hot.
Well,
Spicy.
it can be spicy. You can ask them not to make it too spicy.
It could
Yeah. Yeah. And they're used.
say you don't put meat so very spicy.
Yeah.
They can do it.
But I really like the noodles. I like the rice. I like on the tofu vegetable. And
Is there a restaurant in the Boston area that
There is.
go to that would be like what you ate?
I don't know.
There is a Malay restaurant in Cambridge, I want to say,
I just go to Maynard.
but
Thai food.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Thai food. Yeah.
but
I was the lucky recipient of a lot of silk from Jim Thompson.
oh, is that right?
My brother used to work in Thailand, in Laos for Chingblay, and his wife is Laotian. And one time he came home and he brought my mother and me pieces of the silk that we could make dresses out of. And they were absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I made some really nice things out of them.
Oh, that's great.
It was the houses and the whole setting of the Jim Thompson house was beautiful. There are a lot of antiques, but I didn't really get to see the history of the silk making. So that's really interesting.
They had a few displays on making of silk, but it wasn't in depth. It was more about a monument to Jim Thompson, I thought, and it was so carefully curated that just sort of, I don't know, you put a lot of effort into a place like that, and it just sort of sucked the flavor out of it.
A funny story. So when my brother was working in Laos, in Nanching,
Yeah.
my mother went to visit him, and she went into a little store one day, and the woman that was running the store, they got chatting and asked her where she was from. My mother told her, and she said, you never heard of that place. She said, oh, yes, I know it. It's a small town in New Jersey. And it turned out that she had gone to the same college that I did.
Those miracles.
And the woman who sponsored her here was the admissions director of the college. And we became friends. My mother and this lady became friends, and I got to know her. So this is many years after I went there.
Great. Yeah.
You had a question? Yeah.
Other than the monkeys, did you feel safe?
Yes. Can you think of any time we didn't feel safe? Except when we were really hot and thinking we were going to die because we keep climbing mountains. Yes.
But
Lost, but we never felt unsafe. I don't.
no, I don't. No, we didn't feel unsafe in particular at any points along. Walking along that road without a sidewalk was kind of annoying, but
Which road?
The one you ran on?
no, the one next to that doctor's hotel where we stayed in Malaysia. But
Oh,
no, there's nothing. Nobody who was. The worst that's typically going to happen to you is you get waylaid by the tuk-tuk driver or the taxi takes you to the wrong place. But
yeah.
we didn't have any problems.
We generally went out together, and I didn't. If I was good, I go out and take walks a lot on my own, but I always do it during the daytime, so I don't go out at night.
Right.
Even they open back there and the runway. From somebody else to somebody's food, it's still open in behind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful of your back.
Careful, line crowd, but runway.
Yeah. The monkeys were more.
To do that.
The monkeys would do that. Yeah. The monkeys actually at the Batu Caves. The monkeys have learned how to open up your backpack.
A zipper. Yeah.
Yeah.
The weekly.
So it's a little bit after 2. Are there any other questions? And we have food in the bag, so you can have snacks and come up and ask us questions too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That'd be good.